The world sat spellbound in anticipation of man's first alien encounter.
Incredible.
He doesn't even look like Mr. Spock.
We have come because we need your help.
V was not just another alien invasion show from the 1980s. Behind the giant motherships, red uniforms, and reptilian visitors was a much darker story about fear, propaganda, and control. The series shocked audiences with unforgettable moments like Diana's guinea pig scene, but there was far more happening beneath the surface. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden meanings, casting surprises, behind-the-scenes secrets, and strange production facts that helped turn V into one of the most unforgettable sci-fi events in television history, and a pop culture phenomenon people still talk about more than 40 years later. 20. Diana's guinea pig scene became legendary. The moment Diana lifted a small guinea pig into the air and appeared to swallow it whole instantly became one of the most shocking scenes in 1980s television history. Viewers across America were stunned. Many people had never seen anything that disturbing on network television before, especially in what first looked like a normal science fiction miniseries. The scene completely changed how audiences viewed the visitors. Until that moment, they seemed cold and mysterious, but still controlled and diplomatic. Diana's sudden animalistic behavior exposed something terrifying hiding beneath the surface. Jane Badler's performance made the scene even more unforgettable. She stayed perfectly calm while holding the guinea pig near her face, which made the moment feel strangely believable. Her expression never changed. That cold confidence became one of Diana's defining traits throughout the series. Even decades later, fans still mention the guinea pig scene before almost anything else connected to V. What made the scene even more impressive was how convincing the illusion looked in 1983. The production team carefully used camera angles and editing tricks to create the effect. Despite rumors that spread for years, the guinea pig was never harmed during filming. Still, the scene looked disturbingly real enough to leave audiences horrified long after the episode ended. And somehow, that shocking scene was only the surface. The real story behind V was not about aliens at all. It was about something much darker, hiding in plain sight. 19. V was inspired by fascism. Many people remember V as a giant alien invasion story, but Kenneth Johnson originally had something much darker in mind. The creator was heavily inspired by Sinclair Lewis's novel It Can't Happen Here, a political story about fascism quietly rising inside America. Johnson became fascinated by the idea that dangerous control does not always arrive through violence first. Sometimes it arrives through charm, promises, fear, and public obedience. That idea became the real foundation of V long before the spaceships appeared. The visitors were never meant to be ordinary sci-fi aliens. They represented a fascist force hiding behind friendly smiles and polished speeches. They arrived offering peace, advanced technology, and cooperation, but slowly tightened their control over society. Scientists became targets. The media spread propaganda. Ordinary citizens were pressured into silence. Even children were influenced to support the new authority. The parallels were intentional from the very beginning. What made V stand out was how seriously it treated these themes. The show explored how easily fear can reshape public behavior. Many citizens in the story ignored the warning signs because the visitors seemed helpful at first. Others stayed quiet because they were afraid. That slow transformation from comfort to control gave V a level of tension most science fiction television rarely attempted during the early 1980s. 18. V had a huge TV budget. V looked far bigger than most television productions from the early 1980s, and there was a reason for that. The miniseries reportedly cost around $10 million to produce, which was an enormous amount for network television at the time. NBC was taking a major risk on a science fiction project filled with giant alien ships, action scenes, visual effects, and large sets. Most TV productions during that era worked with far smaller budgets and simpler ideas, but V aimed to feel more like a movie event than a weekly television program. The money was visible almost immediately on screen. The giant motherships hovering over major cities looked massive and intimidating for 1983 television audiences. The production also used large practical sets, detailed costumes, and ambitious effects work to sell the illusion of a worldwide alien occupation. Even scenes inside the visitor ships carried a polished cinematic feel that separated V from many other sci-fi shows of its time. The production schedule was reportedly exhausting for the crew. Long filming days became normal as the team worked to complete the ambitious effects and action sequences. Instead of relying only on studio backlots, they also filmed around real locations in Los Angeles to ground the story in reality. That combination of scale, detail, and atmosphere helped V feel much bigger than ordinary television during its original broadcast. 17. Jane Badler shaped Diana. Diana would have developed into a different character if Jane Badler had performed the role using her accustomed, safer acting techniques. The early character development process created a character who displayed calm military leadership while hiding her actual objectives behind diplomatic behavior. The initial concept of the project established mystery as its central theme, which combined with subtle authority to create an atmosphere that avoided direct threats. The complete transformation of Diana's character occurred after Badler took over the role from the original actress. Her performance created a terrifying character who possessed her dangerous traits, which became instantly visible to viewers from her first appearance on screen. Badler created a character who combined elegant beauty with violent power to produce an unsettling portrayal of Diana. She could display irresistible charm while maintaining complete emotional control, yet her heartless behavior remained hidden until she chose to speak. The character utilized her movement freeze ability to become her most effective combat technique. Diana displayed calmness while committing violent acts, which increased her frightening presence because she appeared more dangerous. The visitors acquired their most recognizable appearance through the powerful confidence displayed by their leader. The performance became a major factor, which attracted viewers to continue watching V. Diana caused tension for all her opponents because her presence in every scene created an atmosphere of danger. Audiences experienced dual emotions toward her because they felt both terror and attraction. Diana developed into one of the most recognizable television villains from the 1980s because Jane Badler expanded her character development beyond the boundaries established in the original script. 16. Kenneth Johnson left his creation. Kenneth Johnson was not just the creator of V, he was the driving force behind its message, tone, and deeper meaning. From the beginning, he designed the series as more than a simple alien invasion story. The visitors represented propaganda, fear, and authoritarian control disguised behind friendly promises. Every major storyline carried political and historical parallels that Johnson carefully built into the show. That serious foundation helped V stand apart from many science fiction productions of the early 1980s. After the original miniseries became a huge success, NBC quickly pushed forward with a sequel called V, The Final Battle. The network wanted the follow-up to feel larger, faster, and more action-heavy. Executives reportedly believed audiences mainly wanted exciting battles, bigger effects, and simpler entertainment. Johnson disagreed. He wanted the sequel to continue exploring the political themes and emotional weight that made the original powerful in the first place. The disagreement eventually became impossible to fix. Johnson walked away from the project he created because he felt the deeper meaning of V was slowly being pushed aside. A new creative team stepped in to continue the franchise, and while the sequel still attracted large audiences, many fans noticed the shift in tone. the story became more focused on spectacle and action rather than layered political allegory. For Johnson, that change altered the core identity of what V was originally meant to be. 15. The Youth Brigade had dark roots. The Visitors operated a youth brigade program which they used to recruit both teenagers and children as part of their disturbing storyline in V. The new recruits received uniforms which provided them with military status and recognition that most of them had never known before. The organization appeared safe because it operated like a youth group who would teach their members to develop loyalty and teamwork skills. The public events and friendly appearance of the public activities concealed a hidden truth, which developed into an evil force that was about to emerge. The series demonstrated how young people could lose their free will because authoritative figures provided them with social acceptance and public recognition. The Visitors attracted some children to their cause, who then began betraying their own relatives. Parents who questioned the alien occupation suddenly found themselves watched inside their own homes. The emotional damage resulted from witnessing family members lose their trust in each other. The storyline became more frightening because it showed personal experiences which extended beyond typical science fiction action. Kenneth Johnson created the Youth Brigade as an organization which directly mirrored the Hitler Youth movement that existed in Nazi Germany. The parallels between the two organizations remained completely visible because of their identical structure. The Visitors implemented real organization methods by using propaganda and emotional persuasion to teach young people about group identity. V used this storyline to explore how authoritarian systems can slowly pull families apart from within. The Youth Brigade arc continues to disturb audiences who watched the miniseries because of its realistic depiction, which remains unsettling after several decades. 14. The original pitch had no aliens. Long before giant motherships appeared over cities in V, Kenneth Johnson originally imagined the project as a serious political drama called Stormtroopers. The first version of the story had no alien invasion at all. Instead, it focused entirely on the slow rise of fascism inside America and how ordinary people react when freedom begins disappearing around them. Johnson wanted the story to feel realistic, uncomfortable, and frighteningly possible. The danger was supposed to come from human systems of control rather than creatures from another world. NBC reportedly felt uneasy about the concept almost immediately. Executives believed the story was too political, too dark, and too risky for mainstream television audiences in the early 1980s. A direct drama about fascism rising in modern America was not considered easy entertainment for network television. Johnson was essentially told the project needed something bigger and more commercial if it had any chance of being approved. That decision eventually changed television history. Instead of abandoning the idea, Johnson wrapped the political themes inside a science fiction story about alien visitors arriving on Earth. The spaceships, uniforms, and reptilian creatures became a disguise for the deeper message hiding underneath. Ironically, adding aliens may have made the story even more powerful. Audiences lowered their guard because it looked like science fiction first, allowing the political allegory and historical parallels to hit much harder once the story unfolded. 13. Robert Englund played Willie first. The 1983 miniseries features Englund as Willie, who shows gentle personality through his awkwardness as he develops human empathy for others. The character of Willie showed emotional and nervousness through his behavior, which made him different from the dangerous alien leaders who showed no feelings. The Englund's career took an odd turn after he played that particular role in his next project. Just 1 year later, he transformed into Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. The two characters developed through their separate stories, which preferred to show different extreme transformations. Willie was soft-spoken and harmless, while Freddy became one of the most terrifying horror villains of the 1980s. The majority of V viewers who watched the show later discovered that the same actor portrayed both characters. The character of Willie became authentic through Englund's performance because he created believable character traits for the role. The alien character showed his anxious personality through his performance, which became the main way audiences began to connect with him. The warm feeling created between characters worked as vital emotional support for the show V, which contained darker story elements. Robert Englund developed his acting skills through his two roles because of their total different approaches to character performance from each other. 12. Mark Singer. Almost wasn't Mike Donovan. It is difficult to imagine anyone other than Mark Singer playing Mike Donovan in V, but he was not the producer's first automatic choice for the role. Several actors were reportedly considered before Singer finally landed the part. The character needed someone who felt believable as a war photographer suddenly thrown into a worldwide alien occupation. Producers were looking for a performer who seemed tough enough to survive danger, but still human enough for audiences to trust emotionally. Mike Donovan was not written as a perfect action hero. He was reckless, stubborn, curious, and often overwhelmed by what he discovered. That balance was important because the audience experienced much of the alien invasion through his eyes. The role required someone who could climb inside an alien mothership one moment and still feel like an ordinary man reacting to fear the next. Singer brought exactly that kind of grounded energy to the character. 11. The red uniforms were deliberate. The visitors' red uniforms from V were designed to look different from standard science fiction costumes. The production team, led by Kenneth Johnson, designed the costumes to make viewers feel discomfort from the first moment they appeared in the movie. The military-style clothing with its sharp edges and rigid military design and black boots and bright red color created an atmosphere that felt both powerful and controlling. The visitors presented themselves as friendly through their public appearance, but their actual goal remained concealed from audiences until they disclosed their true intentions. The costume designers created their designs because they wanted to convey specific meanings through their costume designs. The uniforms used visual elements that belonged to fascist movements and Nazi military design, yet maintained their own unique identity. The production team intended to establish a visual connection that would make viewers feel unsettled while watching a science fiction film. The organization designed its symbols and emblems to create a visual style that resembled powerful state-controlled propaganda materials. The production team established a psychological impact, which persisted throughout the entire series. The visitor's costume design used its visual elements to provide instant recognition about the visitor's character without requiring any detailed explanations. The aliens established an atmosphere of control and authority through their first appearance before they started to speak. The show Vive used visual storytelling to develop its unique identity, which separated it from other science fiction shows that aired during the early 1980s. The visitors' uniforms transformed the alien invaders into powerful symbols, which represented occupation and fear, thereby enhancing the political elements of the story from its beginning. By this point, V had already shocked audiences with terrifying reveals, hidden political themes, and unsettling imagery. But the next part of the story pushed the series into even darker territory, connecting its sci-fi world to one of the most horrifying realities in modern history. 10. Diana echoed medical experiments. Diana became one of the most disturbing characters in V because the fear surrounding him felt painfully realistic. Unlike many science fiction villains who relied on loud threats or dramatic violence, Diana operated with calm professionalism. He treated cruel experiments and human suffering like ordinary medical procedures. That cold emotional distance made the character deeply unsettling whenever he appeared on screen. His scenes carried a sense of quiet dread, rather than explosive action, which often made them even harder to watch. The character was intentionally designed to reflect the horror of wartime human experimentation connected to real historical atrocities. Kenneth Johnson wanted the visitors to feel less like fantasy aliens and more like an occupying force capable of systematic cruelty. Diana represented the terrifying idea of intelligence and science being used without empathy or morality. Instead of behaving like a mad scientist, he often appeared calm, organized, and emotionally detached while causing pain to others. Diana became an important part of that atmosphere because his scenes reminded viewers that the true danger of the visitors was not simply their technology or physical strength. It was how normal and controlled their cruelty could appear while hidden behind authority and order. 9. V drew over 40 million viewers. When V premiered in May 1983, it quickly turned into one of the biggest television events of the year. Millions of viewers tuned in to watch giant alien motherships appear over major cities, while humanity struggled to understand the visitors' true intentions. At a time when streaming services and endless entertainment options did not exist, television audiences still had choices, which made the success of V even more impressive. Families gathered around their televisions for the miniseries, and discussions about the shocking scenes spread rapidly afterward. NBC reportedly did not expect the ratings to explode as strongly as they did. The network had already invested a massive amount of money into the production, but the audience response went beyond expectations. Reports claimed the miniseries drew over 40 million viewers across its original broadcast. Those numbers immediately transformed V from a risky science fiction project into a major network phenomenon almost overnight. 8. Resistance scenes had a pattern. One reason the Resistance storyline in V felt so believable was because the characters did not instantly become heroes the moment the visitors arrived. Most of them began in denial. Some believed the aliens truly came in peace, while others simply wanted to avoid trouble and continue living normal lives. Even people who noticed strange warning signs often convinced themselves everything would eventually calm down. That hesitation made the reactions feel human instead of exaggerated for television drama. The turning point usually came through personal loss or emotional betrayal. A family member disappeared, a friend was arrested, someone witnessed the visitor's cruelty directly for the first time. These moments forced characters to stop pretending the occupation was harmless. Instead of fighting because the script demanded action, they fought because the situation became impossible to ignore any longer. That emotional progression gave the Resistance story real weight throughout the miniseries. Kenneth Johnson reportedly built these scenes with a very deliberate structure. Characters often moved through denial first, then experienced loss, and finally made the decision to resist. That pattern mirrored how ordinary people throughout history have reacted during real occupations and authoritarian takeovers. The resistance in V therefore felt earned rather than artificial. 7. The Star Child became controversial. One of the strangest and most debated ideas in V was the introduction of the Star Child, an alien-human hybrid child connected to Robin Maxwell. The concept was originally meant to symbolize unexpected hope during a terrifying occupation. Instead of presenting the child as purely dangerous or miraculous, the story treated the birth as something mysterious and uncertain. It reflected the idea that even during fear and conflict, something new and unpredictable could emerge from the chaos surrounding humanity and the visitors. As the franchise continued, especially in V, The Final Battle, the Star Child storyline became much more mystical and dramatic. The child was increasingly portrayed as a powerful figure capable of changing the future in ways that felt almost supernatural. Kenneth Johnson reportedly preferred a very different direction for the story. He wanted humanity to survive because ordinary people united, organized, and chose courage during impossible circumstances. In his view, the emotional power of V came from human resistance rather than magical solutions. That is why the Star Child storyline became so divisive among fans. Some enjoyed the bigger science fiction ideas, while others felt it weakened the realistic and politically charged themes that defined the original miniseries. 6. A Holocaust parallel scene almost got cut. One of the most emotional moments in V nearly disappeared before audiences ever saw it. NBC reportedly became nervous about a scene that carried extremely direct Holocaust parallels, fearing the imagery and message might feel too intense for mainstream television viewers. The network worried the historical connection was too obvious and potentially uncomfortable for audiences watching a science fiction miniseries during prime time. Executives considered softening the scene or removing it entirely to avoid controversy. Kenneth Johnson strongly disagreed with that idea. From the beginning, V was designed as more than entertainment about alien invaders. The series intentionally reflected historical patterns connected to fascism, propaganda, occupation, and public silence. Johnson argued that removing scenes with clear historical meaning would weaken the entire purpose of the show. In his view, V only worked because the political parallels remained visible beneath the science fiction surface. If those moments were diluted, the deeper warning behind the story would lose its impact. The scene ultimately stayed in the final version of the miniseries and became one of the most powerful moments in V. Instead of relying on explosions or action, the emotional weight came through silence, fear, and memory. 5. The reptilian reveals were difficult. One of the most unforgettable parts of V was the moment audiences discovered the visitors were actually reptilian creatures hiding beneath fake human skin. Those reveal scenes looked shocking in 1983, especially on television, but creating them was incredibly difficult for the production team. Unlike modern shows, the crew had no CGI to fix mistakes afterward. Every transformation depended almost entirely on practical effects, careful lighting, and precise camera work happening perfectly during filming. The makeup process alone reportedly took hours. Actors had to wear layers of latex appliances designed to resemble peeling human skin and reptilian features underneath. The effects team combined prosthetics with strategic shadows and camera angles to hide seams and make the transformations appear believable. Even small mistakes could ruin an entire scene, because the technology available at the time offered very little room for error once filming started. Timing also became a huge challenge during production. Many reveal scenes could not easily be reset because removing and reapplying the makeup consumed enormous amounts of time. Actors needed to hit their marks exactly while performing through heavy prosthetics that restricted movement and comfort. 4. The sequel diluted the message. When Kenneth Johnson left the V franchise, the tone of the story began to shift almost immediately. The original miniseries balanced science fiction spectacle with political allegory, historical parallels, and emotional tension. After Johnson's departure, the sequel moved much harder toward fast-paced action and larger entertainment moments. Explosions, battles, and dramatic confrontations became more central to the experience, while some of the deeper social commentary slowly faded into the background. Many symbolic ideas that originally carried heavy meaning were simplified into straightforward plot devices. In the first miniseries, the visitors represented propaganda, authoritarian control, and public manipulation hidden behind friendly appearances. Later installments often treated those same ideas more like ordinary science fiction conflicts between heroes and villains. The subtle emotional and political layers that once defined V became less important compared to keeping the story exciting and commercially successful for television audiences. Despite that shift, the franchise remained extremely popular. Viewers still loved the alien invasion story, the characters, and the suspense surrounding the visitors. The sequel drew strong ratings and proved audiences wanted more from the world of V. 3. V influenced later sci-fi. V changed the way many television creators viewed science fiction storytelling during the 1980s and beyond. Before the miniseries arrived, much of television sci-fi focused heavily on adventure, fantasy, and futuristic spectacle. V proved that alien invasion stories could also explore political fear, propaganda, resistance, and social control without losing mainstream audiences. Kenneth Johnson showed that science fiction did not need to avoid serious themes in order to remain entertaining. That balance between excitement and deeper meaning became one of the series' biggest legacies. In the years that followed, several science fiction shows began exploring similar territory. Series like Alien Nation and Earth 2 used futuristic settings to discuss prejudice, survival, social tension, and political conflict in ways that felt more grounded and mature than many earlier productions. The influence of V could often be felt in how these stories treated alien contact not just as spectacle, but as a reflection of real-world anxieties and human behavior. 2. The red V became the lasting image. Out of all the giant spaceships, reptilian reveals, and shocking moments in V, the image that lasted the longest was surprisingly simple. A person quietly painting a bright red V on a wall became the defining symbol of the entire series. The symbol stood for victory, resistance, and defiance against the visitors' growing control over society. Even viewers who barely remembered specific scenes from the miniseries often remembered that red letter appearing across buildings, signs, and city walls throughout the story. Kenneth Johnson reportedly imagined the symbol before much of the rest of the series was fully developed. The image of an ordinary person secretly painting the red V in neon darkness became one of the emotional foundations of the project. It captured the idea that resistance does not always begin with armies or famous leaders. Sometimes it starts with small personal acts carried out quietly by people refusing to stay silent any longer. That simplicity gave the symbol enormous emotional power inside the story. That red mark said everything without a speech, a battle, or a spaceship. But the final strange detail behind the series was hidden not in what audiences saw one. The visitor language was not random. Many viewers probably assumed the alien language in V was just random sounds thrown together quickly for atmosphere, but the production actually treated it far more seriously. The visitor dialogue used repeated sounds, patterns, and consistent pronunciation to create the feeling of a structured language rather than meaningless noise. Whenever the aliens spoke privately among themselves, the speech carried rhythm and repetition that made it sound believable as communication between members of the same civilization. This small detail helped the visitors feel more authentic throughout the series. Instead of appearing like ordinary humans wearing costumes, the aliens seemed connected to a larger culture that existed beyond what audiences could fully see on screen. Kenneth Johnson reportedly wanted the visitors to feel like a real society with its own identity, rules, and behavior. Giving them a recognizable language pattern helped support that illusion in subtle ways viewers could feel, even if they did not consciously notice it. The effort stood out even more because V was a television production made in 1983, long before modern digital tools and large-scale world-building became common in TV science fiction. Most shows during that period might have used simple gibberish and moved on quickly. V instead treated even background details seriously. That extra attention made the alien occupation feel more immersive and believable. V was never just a simple alien invasion story. Beneath the giant motherships, shocking reptile reveals, and unforgettable moments was a series filled with deeper meaning about fear, control, resistance, and history repeating itself. If you enjoyed this look behind the scenes of V, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments which moment from the series you never forgot.